Am I wrong for ruining my work colleague's wedding and getting them arrested? The title sounds bad, but hear me out. I, 38 female, had two work colleagues, Mary and Adam, both in their late 20s, early 30s. Mary started in the company first and then she got Adam to join. They worked in different departments and Mary was in mine. Later, Mary left the company to pursue another career. When they started at the company, they were already married for a few years. Now, Mary is the kindest and loveliest person I've ever met. She was always polite, helpful, and would cheer anyone up. So it came to a shock when we found out that she is divorcing Adam because he has cheated on her. I had called to express how sorry I am that this has happened to her, and we've been talking daily ever since. I was impressed how well Mary holds herself in such a situation. She wouldn't badmouth Adam, and the only thing she mentioned was how her wedding dress and a few family heirlooms went missing when she was moving her stuff from their apartment. She thought they might be misplaced in a different box and will turn up eventually. A few years passed. I now work in the same department as Adam. He is a good work colleague but can be dismissive and ignorant sometimes. Adam invited me to his wedding. The day of Adam's wedding, I had noticed that Chelsea was wearing a similar dress that Mary had worn in the photos of her and Adam's wedding years ago. So without thinking, I had snapped a picture and I sent it to Mary with the caption saying, "Doesn't this dress look familiar?" Mary saw the message but didn't respond, and about an hour later the police showed up at the venue. I need to add that the police in our country is ruthless and any theft is considered a criminal matter for the police to deal with. Police had asked Chelsea to take the dress and all the jewelry off. Chelsea refused and started arguing with them, and then Adam joined in. Everyone at the wedding had to leave. I had tried to call Mary, but she wouldn't pick up the phone. As we found out later, Chelsea was wearing Mary's wedding dress and her heirlooms. Mary spotted them on her in the picture I sent her and called the police. Apparently, she had previously asked Adam if he had them, and he declined, saying he never saw them. So, after she saw the picture, she knew he was lying and stole them. Chelsea had to leave the wedding dress and jewelry at the police station and go home wearing her underwear and Adam's jacket after they were bailed out. Yesterday, Adam returned to the office and went completely mental at me, blaming me for sending a picture to Mary and ruining his wedding. He would also call me an asshole for what I did.
Storytime about how my abusive ex is dating my sister to get back at me. Disclaimer, this is not my story. I just want to clarify that my sister and I really have a good relationship. My parents taught us to be best friends, but my manipulative ex came between us. I met my ex in college, and he was the player of the school. He had a new girlfriend every single week, but for some reason he decided to chase me. And of course, at first I was super flattered. He completely manipulated me into believing that he loved me, and that I was the most special girl out of everyone in the school, and that I wasn't like the other girls. The worst part is that my parents wanted me to focus on school, so I started dating him behind my parents' back. After dating for a few months, he started changing. He started getting super controlling and very jealous. He would monitor everything I did and ask me questions about everything. Who I was going out with, who my friends were, and God forbid there were any guys in my classes. He would stress me out so much that it would take my appetite away and I started losing weight. It got so bad that anytime he would text me or call me, my hands would start sweating and I would get instantly nervous. He always made me feel like I was in trouble or like I did something wrong. I decided to break up with him, so I went to his apartment and things went horribly wrong. As soon as I told him, he punched a hole into his wall and basically kidnapped me for 5 hours. He wouldn't let me leave his apartment. Part 2 is up. Storytime about how my abusive ex is dating my sister to get back at me. After I told him I didn't want to be with him anymore, he basically locked me in his apartment for 5 hours and he wouldn't let me leave. He punched a hole in his wall and just cried the entire time. I finally convinced him to let me leave, and after that he would not leave me alone. He started sending me flowers to convince me to get back with him, but I wouldn't respond to anything. For an entire week he would call me every single day, multiple times a day. Eventually I blocked his number and I thought that everything was fine. By the way, nobody knew that I was dating this guy. I didn't tell my parents because they didn't want me to be dating anyone during college. And of course I didn't tell my sister. I didn't want to stress her out. After a few weeks I went home for spring break. My family and I had planned to just stay home, watch movies, and eat good food. But when I got home, my sister started telling me about this new guy she met. At first, I was really excited for her until she showed me his Instagram. It was my ex. She told me he sent her a message on Instagram and that they had gone on a few dates. I was absolutely horrified. And right then and there, I told my sister the truth. I showed her all the abusive messages that he had sent me, and I told her about how controlling and jealous he was. But my sister started to cry and told me that she was already in love with him. She also told me that she lost his V card to him. My sister calls him and confronts him. That's when he told my sister that I was the abusive one, that he was trying to get away from me. Storytime about how my abusive ex is dating my sister to get back at me. That's when my crazy ex decided to tell my sister that I was the abusive one in the relationship and that I wouldn't leave him alone. At this point, I could tell my sister was super confused and hurt. I grabbed the phone from her and hung it up. I then explained to her that he was always so manipulative and that he would make me believe anything. I begged her to block him and she wouldn't. So I had no choice but to go to my parents and tell them the truth. I told them I had a boyfriend behind their back and that now he was trying to date my sister to get back at me. I told them the whole truth about how abusive he was, and of course my parents were devastated. They went to my sister's room, but she wasn't there anymore. That's when I found her phone and saw the messages. She went over to my ex's house. It's like he had her under the spell. So my parents and I went straight to my ex's house. That's when my sister told us that she would be moving in with him and that I was only trying to separate them because I was jealous. I got my friends to call her and tell her about how abusive he was, and she finally started believing them. My sister finally came home a few days later, but she still wants to be with him. I'm only 45 minutes away from school, so I decided to stay home. My parents and I are trying to keep her from seeing him. The good news is I finally got a restraining order against my ex. But what else can I do at this point? Please give me advice.
Hi friends, my name is Anya and I was born to super rich parents. Growing up, I had every luxury, but what I really wanted was my parents' time. You see, they were self-made billionaires, and for that, they worked their butts off. every time I'd ask them to go on a holiday, they'd be so busy. Darling, Mama has to go to a conference tomorrow. Why not ask Dad? Sweetheart, I have to close a deal in Japan this month, but we'll plan something soon, I promise. I seriously hated their work. One time, it was my 10th birthday, and I waited and waited for Mom and Dad to wish me a happy birthday, but they forgot. I was so angry that I picked up a baseball bat and started to smash everything around, even the TV. Right when it was about to fall on me, someone pulled me away just in time. It was a boy. I'd seen him around the house before. Oh my God, it could have fallen on you. Are you okay? Are you hurt? I'm fine. Thanks. The boy told me his name was Eli. He was our cook's son. When he asked me why I was smashing stuff, I told him how my parents had forgotten my birthday like every year. To cheer me up, he sneaked me out of the mansion on his bike and took me for ice cream. After that day, we became friends. Once when I was in the 10th grade, I had some super hard math homework I needed help with, but my parents were too busy as usual. So I showed it to Eli, and he solved the problem in no time. Mom and Dad were so impressed with Eli that they got him admission in my school. On his first day, I introduced Eli to all my friends, and he blended in super fast. At school, he was like my self-appointed bodyguard. Our annual school play was coming up, and I auditioned for the lead role of Juliet and got it. But this didn't sit well with the school's most popular girl, Emma. Will your boyfriend, Eli, be there too? I'm sure he'll play Romeo, 'cause he is one. Boyfriend? Are you crazy? Eli's just a friend. Oh, come on, Anya. Don't tell me you don't see it. The weirdo is always around you, like a stalker. I didn't want to say it, but all the kids think your rich daddy bought you a boyfriend. What the what? I was about to tell Emma to shut up when Eli came running with a water bottle for me. Anya, you were terrific. I couldn't take my eyes off you. I know you'll get the part. Yeah, whatever. You don't have to be so dramatic about it, Eli. I didn't want to hurt Eli, but I felt so uncomfortable because of what Emma had said. Is that what everyone thought? A few days later, a boy, Sean, asked me out, and I wanted to say no, but I saw Eli coming my way with Emma right behind him. So I panicked and said yes and kissed the boy on the cheek, and Eli looked super pissed. I tried my best to avoid Eli and even skipped classes because of him. One day I was in the library and Eli came out of nowhere and sat next to me, saying he wanted to talk. But since I didn't, I walked away. And that's when Emma said, "You're too ugly to have a boy dying to talk to you. I don't know what he sees in you." You stupid girl. Not everyone is like you, drooling over boys. Some people have class. Ever heard of it? I was so angry at Emma that I pushed her, but suddenly she crashed right into a bookshelf. And then one by one, all of the bookshelves crashed. The entire library was destroyed. And when the librarian came fuming, Emma put the blame on me. She was acting mad and pushed me so hard into the bookshelf. OMG, I was so scared. I thought I'd die today. I started to panic. No, it wasn't me. Tell her, Eli, it was you. You did it by mistake, didn't you? What? But Anya, I was behind you. Yes, you pushed me from behind and I fell on Emma. That's how it happened. Eli looked totally shocked. My parents were called to the school, and since they got Eli admitted here, they had to bear all the damages. He was given a week's suspension too. A few days later, when he returned, he completely ignored me and had frickin' Emma on his arm. And he wouldn't even look at me. By lunchtime, I'd had enough. So I caught up to him and grabbed his arm. Why are you ignoring me, Eli? And what's with you and Emma? None of your business, Anya. Back off. OMG? How could he say that to me? I was angry, but I was sad too, for losing my friend. So one day, I skipped school and texted Eli that I was sick. I knew he would come to check on me, and he did. But he instantly caught my lie. Wait, you aren't sick. Jeez, Anya, did you do this just so I'd come to you? Please, just listen to me, Eli. I'm so sorry. Eli looked tense, but he eventually gave in. Oh, come here. Let's forget about it. I was so happy that Eli forgave me, and I got my friend back. A few months later, Mom and Dad were having some people over who would be investing in their new company. When the guests arrived, I was shocked. It was Emma with her parents. So, this is your mansion? A little too small, isn't it? Why? Does it remind you of your small brain? Throughout the evening, Emma kept rubbing in my face how her dad would soon become my dad's boss, and I was hating it. Before dinner, I had an idea, and I ran to the kitchen, where Eli saw me put an entire bottle of laxatives in the gravy. Anya, no. Are you crazy? Trust me, it'll be fun. No way. And just as he was about to throw the gravy, his dad came and shooed us both out of the kitchen. Later, when everyone was having dinner, I made sure Mom and Dad didn't go for the gravy, and thank God they didn't. Then, in just 5 minutes, it was chaos. Emma and her parents kept rushing to the bathroom, and I couldn't stop laughing. Mom and Dad seemed shocked, and I was so happy that I could get back at Emma. But the next day, I woke up to a nightmare when I got a text from Eli. I wish you would understand what the consequences of your actions are. Everyone makes mistakes, but some people make more stupid mistakes than most. Goodbye, Anya. What was going on? I ran downstairs and got to know that later at night, Dad had questioned all the staff and everyone had pointed fingers at Eli. So Dad fired his dad and kicked them out. What had I done? This was bad. I immediately told Mom and Dad everything, but it was too late. Eli was gone. My parents even called his dad and apologized, but they never returned, and I felt terrible. One day, I was sitting alone in the school's playground when Sean, my nice classmate, sat next to me. Why so sad, princess? Just nothing. Just not feeling well today. I know something that'll cheer you up. And then he vanished and got me some ice cream. It was so sweet, but even that ice cream reminded me of Eli. It had been almost 6 months since Eli had left, and to get my mind off of him, I started volunteering at a soup kitchen where Sean also worked. It made me realize I really acted like a spoiled brat at times. Then a week later, he invited me out, and I was super surprised that he remembered my birthday. Happy birthday, princess. After we cut the cake, I was eating it like a pig, but he kept staring at me with glittery eyes, and suddenly he inched close. You've got some cake on your... Where? Oh God, my heart was about to jump out of my throat. He was so romantic. One day, I was at school, and I bumped into someone and dropped all my books. I looked up to see. It was Eli. I was so happy to see him, but he glared at me and left me there. And soon enough, I discovered Eli had changed, and now his life's mission seemed to mock me all the time. One day, we were in math class, and the teacher asked me to come and solve the sum on the board. Oh wow, looks like my math tutoring paid off. Finally, something entered into that thick brain of yours. Yeah? I've had a better tutor than you. Oh really? Did this tutor teach you something like empathy? Or not being a brat? What's your problem, dude? Leave her alone. Why? Are you her new bodyguard now? Beware, 'cause that one... Eli hadn't even finished his sentence when Sean punched him. I got in between them and they finally stopped. Oh, so the new bodyguard needs saving. What's your problem anyway? I get it. You don't like me. You got that wrong. I really don't like you. That stung. I just walked away from him, not wanting to make matters worse. A few weeks later, our school took us for a camping trip, and we went on a tour of the forest. Throughout the tour, Emma was just clinging to Eli like a snake. When I saw him alone for a minute, I walked up to him. Why are you with that awful Emma all the freaking time? How is that any of your frickin' business? Are you jealous? Me? Jealous? As if. And just as I said this, I slipped and went tumbling down a slope. Eli came running to me and helped me up. Oh my God, Anya, are you all right? Can you stand? Yeah. Oh, wait. Oh, no. Ow. It hurts so bad. And then all of a sudden, Eli swept me into his arms. I don't think we can climb the slope. We gotta walk around the hill to find a way up. No matter what, I knew he still cared for me. We'd been out for hours when we realized that we were lost. It was already getting dark, and I felt scared. Eli, what are we gonna do? Don't worry, Anya. We'll get out of here. They'll come searching for us. Eli then lit up a fire, and we both sat in front of it. And then I broke the silence. I'm sorry, Eli. I'm sorry for pulling that prank on Emma. I swear I didn't know until the next day that Dad thought it was you. I told him the truth, but you were gone. I won't say it's okay, but since you realized your mistake, I guess we can let that be in the past. Eli came really close to me, and he was definitely leaning in to kiss me. Just then we heard something in the bushes. It was frickin' Emma. buzzkill. Eli, I've been searching for you for so long. I was so scared, and I'm so cold. Of course it was cold, because that witch was dressed in clothes the size of a bikini. But since it was late, we decided to try going back in the morning. The next day when I woke up, I had Eli's jacket on me. He must have put it on me while I was asleep. Just then, I shot straight up when I heard Emma screaming that Eli was missing. Oh my God, we had to look for him. I kept walking for a while and my ankle was killing me. And I was so worried about Eli. Emma, let's go back and wait at that spot. Maybe Eli will come back there and someone will come to rescue us. Oh yeah, someone will. But I need to get rid of you before that. Saying that, she pushed me, and all of a sudden, I was hurled up in the air. I was in a freaking trap. I saw someone had laid this trap out earlier, and I thought it would come in handy. Emma, why are you doing this? Why? You brat. Because of you, Eli doesn't love me. He says I'm just a friend. That stupid boy can't get over you. So I think I'll just leave you here. Sure, he'll be sad at first, but I'll heal him with my love. I'll take care of Sean, too.
You are a crazy psycho, Emma.
You sick girl. You were just gonna leave Anya out here? Thank God. Eli and Sean were behind Emma and had heard everything. Eli helped me get down from the trap. Sean had Emma in his grip, who looked like she'd gone mad. Eli led the way out of the jungle, and we were finally reunited with the group. After the school nurse had checked on my ankle, Sean came to me and hugged me. I was so worried. Gotta thank Eli for keeping you safe. Eli, it was at that moment I knew what I wanted. Sean, you're a nice guy, but you love Eli. Jeez, Anya, everyone knows you both are head over heels for each other. Just too stubborn to admit it. What? He knew and still stuck around with me? I kissed Sean on the cheek and just then saw Eli at the door with a disappointed look on his face. I ran after him and stopped him.
It's all right, Anya. Sean is a nice guy. I just came here to tell you.
I know that you love me. And guess what? I love you too. Now kiss me already.
Storytime on how I found out the FBI was spying on me for 7 months. At the time this was going on, I was a junior in high school. And in the mornings, I would walk to school because my school was only like a couple blocks down. But I always noticed there was like a gray minivan always going the same direction as me. So I always assumed that it was probably another kid from my school. And his or her parents was driving them to school. And one day I left home early because I wanted to get food from the store. So I went to a corner store, and when I came out, that same minivan was parked outside of the store. And then I was like, okay. Thought that was weird, but I walked back to school. But I didn't go the normal way that I usually go. I took a different shortcut that day because I didn't want to be late for school. And halfway there, that same minivan pops up again. And it went the opposite direction of me because it was a one-way street. By the time I got to school, the minivan was parked on the side of my school. I, of course, ran inside the building, and halfway through class, I forgot about the whole situation. Running out of time, I'll post part 2 right after this. Part 2 on how I found out the FBI was watching me for 7 months straight. For the first 3 to 4 months, a minivan was watching me, and when I started to catch on, they stopped showing up. But what got weird is when I got to school, every day my friends would just ask me weird questions about what I was doing, where I was going. And it was weird because I felt like I was being interrogated. After a couple months passed down, still being questioned, and I get called down to the principal's office. And I'm scared because I'm like, am I in trouble? What did I do? When I walk in, there's detectives sitting down. They then sat me down, started asking me questions. They laid out a bunch of pictures of me. And this is kind of how I found out they was watching me for so long. They asked me if my name was my real name. Am I the age of my birth certificate? Asked me if I was an immigrant. And I was so confused. And come to find out, they thought I was a mass murderer. As in, like, they thought that I was the guy that was abducting women. When I told them, this wasn't me. I didn't do this stuff, man. They did some background checks. They got my family involved. My parents even wanted to sue because they didn't even know this was going on. Because at the time, I was a minor and I was getting questioned. Here's another toxic best friend story time. And ladies, you're going to want to hear this one. So, one day in school, I met this boy, which we're going to call Tyrone. We became friends, like really, really close friends. And over time, he asked me to be his girlfriend. And of course, I said yes. Because, I already had a secret crush on him already. And, everything was cute for a while, until he started to act very distant. And I was very confused. He wouldn't give me hugs, kisses, and he wouldn't spend no time to really see me. Until randomly, his girl best friend had told me that he was cheating on me. She sent me message screenshots, but I didn't know they were fake at the time. And seeing that, I was like, no, I'm done, and I broke up with him. For a whole year, I didn't speak to him. And weirdly, he started dating his best friend. But then we started to talk again, but just as friends. Ended up finding out that he didn't cheat on me. And his now girlfriend broke us up. Storytime on Tinder date from hell. So recently, I got dumped by my boyfriend. I went over to my friend's house because I was feeling down, and she convinced me to get a Tinder. So I immediately matched with this guy, and what drew me to swipe right was because he looked like my celebrity crush. Anyways, we started talking and we exchanged phone numbers. Everything was good. I Snapchatted him, so he knew I was real. Over time, he would get upset when I would post my guy friends on my Snap. And he'd say things in Spanish like, "you're mine." And at the time, I thought it was cute, not realizing it was a obsessive thing. We talked just about every day until one day I got together with my friends and we went out. And remember how I told you guys that he didn't really like my friends? Well, he randomly calls me at 2 a.m. crying and claiming that he got stabbed. If you want to know what happened after that, come back for part 2. Part 2 of Tinder date from hell. So, like I said earlier, I went out with my friends and he randomly calls me at 2 a.m. claiming that he got stabbed. And I, of course, thought that was crazy. I felt bad for him and wanted to be there, but I would never see the wound. A couple days later, he had his friends add me on Snapchat, and one of his friend's girlfriends told me to get away from him and that he was obsessed with me. And all he would talk about was me. And he ain't never get stabbed. When I found that out, I wanted to leave the whole relationship alone, and he went off on me. Like, he went psycho crazy and told me that he was going to off himself if I ever decided to leave. And mind you guys, I barely even know this man. It gets even crazier. Come back for part 3. Part 3 of Tinder date from hell. So after I found out that he tried to fake getting stabbed, I told him I was ready to leave the whole relationship, and he threatened to off himself if I decided to go. After that, I couldn't deal with him anymore, so I ignored him, and he would blow up my phone. When I got tired of his craziness, I blocked his number and blocked him from all my social medias. He began starting to make fake accounts, adding me. A couple weeks later, I saw him at a club one night, and he saw me. He started walking my way, and I didn't want to be rude, so I allowed him to talk to me, and I kind of felt bad for kind of ghosting him, so I just entertained to be nice and hoped that all the stuff that he did in the past was just a phase. And he was really nice, and he actually bought me a drink. And I really thought nothing of it until I started to feel dizzy right after drinking the drink, and I passed out. It gets worse after this. Y'all let me know if y'all want a part 4. Story time on how I got pregnant at 12 years old, and the guy who I was talking to at the time was 18, but he told me he was 15. Anyways, my child's father, which we're going to call Kareem, I met at a summer party, which, by the way, I wasn't supposed to go to, but I sneaked out with my friends. Me and Kareem met at the party. He asked for my number, but I gave him my Instagram instead because at the time I didn't even have a phone. I had an iPad mini that I would use at home. So I text him on there just about every night. He always talked about how I was the only girl he wanted, and my naive 12-year-old self believed everything he was telling me. Maybe 2 weeks later, he asked me if I was a virgin, and I didn't want him to think I was weird, so I said no, even though I was. And this is when everything starts to go wrong. Come back for part 2. This is part 2 on how I got pregnant at 12 years old, and the guy I was talking to at the time was 18. So, like I said earlier, he asked me if I was a virgin, and I said no, even though I was, because I didn't want to look like a weirdo. Kareem starts talking about how we should go on a little movie date and that he'd buy me popcorn and whatever I wanted from the movie theater. So Friday night comes around, I sneak out of the house and I met with Kareem down the street. He pulls me close and said that he wanted to blindfold me because he had a little surprise. I was nervous, but I trusted him, so I allowed him to blindfold me, by the way, which was the biggest mistake ever. So he grabs my hand and holds my bag. And all of a sudden, I hear people, and I get picked up, and I feel multiple people feeling on me. This is when the night takes a turn. I'm running out of time. Please come back for part 3. This is part 3 on how I got pregnant at 12 years old, and the guy who I was talking to at the time was 18. So Kareem blindfolds me for a surprise, and I get picked up. And it felt like there were multiple people picking me up. I screamed and told him to get off of me, and I tried to take my blindfold off, but Kareem yells out, "No, not yet." And I started to get a little confused and scared, and this went on for like a good minute, and I was just struggling to basically get away. Then I hear doors open and I'm screaming and Kareem tells me to calm down. When I finally get put down, I end up smacking someone in the face just so they could let go of me. When I snatched my blindfold off to see where I was in someone's room. This is when it gets really manipulative. I'll be back soon as possible for part 4. This is part 4 on how I got pregnant at 12 years old and the guy I was talking to at the time was 18. So I take off my blindfold and I'm in someone's room. I turn around and it's Kareem. I asked him what's going on and why am I there. Kareem looks at me and tells me that he brought me there for a surprise. When I look around, there's candles lit in the room and I asked him, I thought we were going to the movies. And he tells me the movies was closed down. By the way, which it was not. Now thinking he was probably too broke to even take me to the movies. Anyways, Kareem tells me that I was being extra when I got picked up. He said he got his little brothers to transport me to his room. Thinking now it was stupid, but at the time I thought it was cute. Kareem says that he decorated the whole room to look like a movie theater, and that was a lie because his room looked like he scooped all his trash underneath his bed, and he lit up 2 candles. So much for the movies. But now that we're in his room, things get a little hot. Y'all let me know if I should make a part 5. Story time on how I caught my boyfriend cheating on me with 5 girls in my bedroom. Yes, I said my bedroom. Okay, so I've been with my boyfriend for 2 years. So recently, I had gotten into an argument with one of his friends, and his friend told me that my boyfriend was cheating on me. And so I confronted him, and he obviously denied it, but we kept dating, and I ignored the whole thing. But I still had my guard up. But after a while, I started to trust him again, and things went back to normal. Also, by the way, me and my boyfriend, we live in the same apartment, but I get off work later than him. So one day, I get off of work early, and as soon as I get home, I heard noises coming from our room. And when I got to the room, I didn't see not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 girls doing it with my man. And of course, when they all saw me, they scrambled like pigeons. And when he was trying to put his clothes back on, I got my taser and tased him in the ball sack. This story time is from a follower, and she really needs advice. By the way, we're calling her Wilhelmina. Wilhelmina is 23, and she takes care of her mom. Her mom is obese, so she can't do things like wash herself, feed herself. She can't even barely move. Her life is just surrounded by just making sure her mom is okay. But Wilhelmina has been feeling depressed because she doesn't go out with her friends, and she mostly just spends her time inside the house with her mom. She really wants to move across the country and have a more exciting life and just live for herself, but she just feels so bad leaving her mom behind. And she's afraid that something might happen to her while she's gone because no one is there to help take care of her mom. She needs some advice on how to work out the situation, so please comment down below some advice. Story time on how I caught my mom cheating on my dad with his brother. So my mom and dad were practically married. It was just never on papers. So on this specific day, my dad went to work and I went to school. My dad is a lawyer and my mom is a teacher. So me and my dad left, and my mom said that she would be leaving in like 5 minutes because she had called the day off. She said that she was going to check on a few things, so we thought that really nothing of it. So school goes by, and I come home, and I see my mom's car in the driveway, but not my dad's. And I see another car in the driveway. I thought it may have just been one of her friends, because I have never met my uncle. So I walked in, and I immediately heard, loading. So I'm thinking, ew, my mom and dad are doing it again. But then again, I remember my dad's car wasn't in the driveway. So I walked upstairs quietly and peeked, and it was my mom and uncle. If y'all want a part 2, let me know down below in the comments. Story time on how I caught my mom cheating on my dad with his brother. So like I said earlier, I took a peek, and it was my mom and my uncle doing the thing. So I decided to record the noises and close the door. Then I ran outside and I called my dad. And my dad was quick. He came within 10 minutes. When he comes in, I tell him to be quiet. When we go upstairs, we don't hear any more noises. When we look inside of the bedroom, they're just sitting on the bed. So, like I said before, I have never met my uncle, so my dad walked in. He immediately hugged the man, and I was so confused. And I found out that was my uncle. My uncle was like, nice to meet you, and I'm immediately disgusted, and I rolled my eyes. So, in front of my mom and my uncle, I pulled out my phone and started playing the video recording of them doing the thing. And my dad immediately starts swinging on my uncle. There's more to the story, but it's just too much to go on with. Story time on how my whole school caught lice. We even had to take a week break from school. Okay, so this happened in the middle of my freshman year of high school. So there were these 3 girls, which we're going to call them Kayla, Rachel, and Maddie, and they were the first ones to have lice. Reason being because they were a clique and they hung around each other a lot. But rumors said that Kayla was the first one to have it because she had a dog that had it. Anyways, Maddie was a part of the cheerleading team and ended up giving it to the entire cheerleading squad. Rachel had a boyfriend and her boyfriend ended up giving it to his entire basketball team. And from there, it kept on spreading. Teachers would make awareness to the point teachers caught it and even the principal caught it, which made the principal had to close the school. But to this day, Kayla denies even having lice, even though her best friends Rachel and Maddie said that she gave it to them. Story time about the most embarrassing sex experience I had in my life. So that night we were on a date and I got my hair, nails, and makeup done. And my hairstylist had me try on this glueless lace wig. It was so cute. Fast forward, after we went out to eat, we went to his place. And things got a little busy. It was very heat of the moment. And I turned over because he about to beat it up. And boy literally starts pulling on my hair. And instead of telling him not to pull on my hair, instead I just decided to hold on to my wig. And you know what happens? He pulls off my wig. And I was so embarrassed. But then he put the wig on his head. And he kept going.
Straight to the heart. I went a long time acting like I was broken apart by you.
This story time is from a follower, and she really needs advice. By the way, we're calling her Katrina. Katrina is in 12th grade, and she really wants to go to college, but she doesn't know what she wants to go in for. Like, she doesn't know what type of career she wants after graduating. Her parents told her if she decided to go to college right after she graduates, they are going to pay for her entire 4 years. But she really thinks that she should take a gap year because she don't want to go into school and having to take an extra year because she didn't pick the right major for herself. But her parents told her if she decided to take a gap year, they are not going to pay for her college tuition. She said she thought about taking a gap year and working, but she doesn't really want to focus on working. She wants to focus on a future career for herself. But y'all comment down below some advice for her. Story time on how I got pregnant by a married man. So we've been friends since elementary school. We were always very close all throughout middle school and high school. So in high school, he got this girl pregnant and ended up getting married to her. The girl didn't like me because she always thought we were messing around, but we never did. So he's been married to her for 5 years with 3 kids, but he's always come to me and complained about how she forced him to get married and he didn't want to get married. He actually didn't really want to be with her and wanted to get a divorce, but she wouldn't sign the divorce papers. But long story short, we had to stop hanging out because of her, and I didn't see him for about 3 years. But until last year of October, we started hanging out again, and it was innocent at first, but then I'm running out of time. Y'all let me know if y'all want a part 2. This story time is how my toxic ex-boyfriend stole $5,000 out of my bank account to give to a girl he was cheating on me with. So I've been with my ex 3 years prior to breaking up. We met at a party. He seemed pretty cool. And from there, he was really nice and different from any guy I met. Any other guy I talked to didn't seem interested in me, but him. It was like he was obsessed with me. He even said that he loved me after 2 weeks of talking. I thought it was cute, but I wasn't trying to get serious so soon. He came off very strict of what he wanted, and one of those things were me. And after 6 months of meeting this great guy, he completely changed. He became physically and emotionally abusive. I even tried to leave at some points of the relationship. One day, he asked if I could spot him some gas money because he needed to pick up his mom's medicine. So I trusted my boyfriend of 3 years and gave him my card to take the money out the ATM. When he came back and gave me my card, he went ghost for 2 days. And of course, I was upset and I blew up his phone, afraid of what happened to him. When I checked my bank statement, it showed that he took out $5,000. If y'all want to know what happened after that, This is part 2 of how my toxic ex-boyfriend stole $5,000 out of my bank account to give to a girl he was cheating on me with. So after he ghosted me for 2 days, I checked my bank account and my balance came up to $5,000 total. And it seemed like he went to different ATMs because he took a little amount and it all added up to $5,000. I was so upset, I tried calling and texting his friends, but my messages weren't going through, almost like they blocked me. Then I went ahead and called his mom, and luckily she picked up. I asked if she'd seen him, and she said she just saw him today and that she thought we broke up. I was like, he told you we broke up? And she said yes. He even brought his girlfriend Kayla over. I was so furious. She even told me that he helped her move into her new place and that he paid for her first and last month rent. And it was near the mall in our area. And I knew exactly what apartment complex she was talking about. If y'all want to know what happened after that, let me know down below in the comments.
Songs on the radio sounding fake. Prince and Genesis were better anyway. Am I just being too real? Or is my mind going crazy out here? Or am I losing control of my mind? I can't shut it down, can't shut it down. Is it just me who feels this way? Is there somebody else who's not okay? Could you tell me, is it me?
This is part 3 of how my toxic ex-boyfriend stole $5,000 out of my bank account to give to a girl he was cheating on me with. So after he lied and told everyone we broke up, I found out he was cheating on me with another girl and used the money I gave him to give her her first and last month rent. I knew exactly what apartment the girl lived in because his mom had told me. I went to the front desk and asked if there was a Kayla, and I lied and said it was for a family emergency. So the guy at the front desk was able to reach her. She had came down, she walked to the desk, and the guy at the desk pointed her towards me. I walked up to her and asked if she knew who I was, and she said no, and I broke everything down to her, telling her everything our boyfriend lied about. And she was so nice. She had no clue that any of this was going on. She even cried, but I told her to stop because I had a revenge plan and that he was going to get everything that was coming to him. And I asked if she wanted to join, and luckily she said yes. So if y'all want to know what happened after that, let me know down below in the comments. And this is when it gets juicy. This is part 4 of how my toxic ex-boyfriend stole $5,000 out of my bank account to give to a girl he was cheating on me with. So after I met Kayla, the girl he was cheating on me with, we created the ultimate get back plan. So she had to completely act like she never met me. She told him she wanted to meet up and go on a surprise vacation and that she wanted to do something fun. And him being dumb, he agreed to it. She told him to pack a bag of his nicest clothes and bring his passport. He came to her place with all his things and they got in a car. I was on the floor in the back seat and he had no clue. So she drove really far from home and stopped by the gas station because she wanted to get frisky. She told him to take off his shoes. Him being dumb, he took off his shoes. She told him to get out of the car real quick because she needed to get the surprise from under the seat. And I popped up and he jumped back. Then I closed and locked the door. He was lost and got mad and started yelling at me, calling me all types of names. If y'all want to know what happened after that, please let me know down below in the comments. This is part 5 of how my toxic ex-boyfriend stole $5,000 out of my bank account to give to a girl he was cheating on me with. So after I popped up and surprised my ex, he was so shook, he was not expecting it, and I quickly closed the door. He banged on the door, telling us to open it up and give him his things. I pulled down the window and tossed him 5 cents, saying, "Have fun walking 5 hours home with the 5 cents that you should have had before cheating on me." And Kayla quickly drove off. It was funny because he had on no shoes. When we left, we took some of his Gucci outfits he broke, cut them up, and tossed them out the window. Some of the clothes we kept and sold them to people we knew, and his passport and wallet and cards and ID was tossed out the window too. After the whole situation was over, we went to Kayla's apartment. She gave me back the money that my ex stole from me, which was kind of her to do, and we split the money that we made off of selling his clothes. And we're now friends. As for our ex, he could stay where we left him, the streets.
To our senses.